Okay, sounds great.
All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to room 3, breakout session 1, Canvas in a Backpack. My name is Andrew Snyder, and I'll be the room moderator for this session. Today, we have Kelly Lozicki presenting. Kelly is one of our dedicated principal adoption consultants. She is committed to working to make Canvas awesome in Nevada. She is an instructional technologist with an MED from USF. She taught from 2nd grade to community college, was an innovative learning specialist, and an instructional dean. She helped roll out every successful Canvas implementation for Orange County Public Schools, Hillsborough County Public Schools, and has worked with over 60 K-12 Canvas school districts. She is excited to work with you to start the process of using Instructure products to increase educational best practices in your ELA or LEAs. With that, I will hand it over to you, Kelly.
Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Glad to see you. Welcome to the session. I will go ahead and get started. So, Melanie, everybody can see my screen, okay? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this session is called Canvas is Your Backpack. And we will get started. I see we've got people coming in, so maybe we'll wait about 30 seconds. They're coming fast and furious now. Yes, I think we'll take a pause. We'll take a couple of seconds here. If you're just coming in, we will be getting started any minute.
Yes, they are coming in with a vengeance.
I'm so happy. Excited to see everybody.
Oh, gosh. Okay, Kelly, they're still coming.
Still coming in. Good morning, everybody. We've got a lot of people that are still joining, so I'm just waiting for until it slows down. So give us just a second.
Oh gosh.
Goodness.
Oh my gosh.
So excited to see everyone. This is great.
I'm still coming, Kelly.
Wait, Melanie and I thought we were going to have 2 people. So we're very pleased with that they're still coming in.
Okay. They're still coming.
Start now in your own home.
All right. Okay, Kelly, we went from 1 to 43 in less than 3 minutes. So.
Great.
They need you just as much as you need them.
Okay.
And look again at your friends.
Oh, still coming.
Who will you bring to Christ? Our Savior declared, "Be whole. I am the light. I have set an example for you."
No estaba aquí en zona.
Yeah.
Where?
Shall not walk in, but shall have.
All right. As you guys come in, if you guys don't mind muting yourselves, and then that way Kelly and Melanie
Do you want this to
be able to hear them clearly. And if you guys want to, looks like we have quite a few now. 54, great. So whenever you guys are ready to go.
Good to 1 to 2 years. Meanwhile, Nicholas got it this year so far.
Good morning, everybody. So excited to see all of you. A lot of you just entered. If you could just take a second and mute.
I think I started, I muted people as they were coming in. I can try to catch it, but people are still coming in.
Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and get started though, so that we don't delay any longer for those that got here right away. So good morning, everybody. If you missed the introduction, I'm Kelly Lozicki, and my good friend and colleague Melanie Baker is here as well. We are both your your principal learning consultants. We are dedicated to the state of Nevada, and we are here to support you in many different ways. One way is doing things like this, where we put on workshops or attend conference sessions. And another way is we help set up training, and we help people make decisions about how they're going to use Canvas. Lots of things that we can do. At the end, I'm going to give you some information about where to get help and support. But let's go ahead and get started. So this session is called Canvas is Your Backpack. And I'll just tell you, in case you missed it, I was in K-12 public education for just over 20 years, doing a little bit of everything. So just a tiny bit about my background there. All right, so welcome to the Canvas fam. Just so you know, this company is called Instructional. They're the company that created the Canvas LMS software. And it was basically two graduate students who had an idea, started in 2008, and it has grown exponentially since then, with over basically in 70 different countries. So we want to say to you that we recognize that there are extraordinary challenges that you're facing every single day, and we are here to help. We're glad you're here, and we're here for you. Melanie is going to help me whenever I get tongue-tied or need a little backup, but she's also here to help man the chat. So if you have questions, feel free to put those in the chat. She'll call anything out that if I need to stop or go over something. But otherwise, Melanie is here to help. So thank you, Melanie. If you want a copy of the presentation, here is the link. I'm going to leave that up there for just a few seconds. It's basically a bit.ly, and there's Canvas as your backpack. All right, so what are we going to talk about today? We're going to learn how Canvas provides a consistent, keyword there, consistent, familiar digital classroom that is accessible whenever, wherever students are ready to learn. We're going to see how to provide opportunities to your students for collaboration and critical thinking, all while equipping them with instructional continuity and consistent communication. Canvas contains and delivers all 4 C's. Canvas is your backpack. So did you know, when schools provide a consistent, familiar digital classroom that is accessible whenever, wherever, they are better equipped to maintain that continuity and deliver an equitable, viable curriculum. So, the theme here today is consistency, and we're gonna demonstrate that in several different ways. So look at these quotes for a second and see if any of them look familiar, especially lately. I'll give you a second to look at the screen. My guess is you've heard a version of these at some point since you started using Canvas. So now we're back in the classroom. What do we need this Canvas thing for? We've got screen fatigue. We don't need one more thing to do, which I agree with. What am I going to do with all this information I put on Canvas last year, now that we're back in the classroom? Let's talk about that. So we're going to start with a story. This is the story of pre-pandemic. We're going to meet our cast of characters. Okay, so in your classroom, you've got your traditional students, your athletes, your gifted students, those that are absent frequently. Maybe you've got those that are involved in extracurricular activities. We've got a dancer, student with disabilities. We've got one that's very artistic. We've got one that doesn't speak English very, very well yet, not a native speaker. And now we're going to tell the story of after the pandemic, or I guess we should say we're still during the pandemic. But guess what? Those students are the same students. So we've still got our traditional students, we've still got our athletes and our gifted, and those that are absent, and those that have other priorities and concerns, and those that are not native speakers. So now what? So this is the idea here. Basically, with Canvas in the middle, Canvas is your backpack. And if you think about your students and all the things that they put into their backpacks as they go to school each day, it's their, if you think about, they need a planner, they need to know what they're going to do, they need to organize themselves, they need to know what classes they're in that day, they need to all of their materials. Basically, all of those things are already housed in Canvas. So you can think of it as sort of, they don't really need that backpack anymore. They can just take Canvas with them, or Canvas is your backpack. So I'm representing here the 4 C's. We've got the creativity, the collaboration, the critical thinking, the communication, and some of the elements that live in Canvas. So for example, we've got announcements and inbox and notifications, calendar, to-do lists, and modules to keep your students organized. Integrations, so those are all of the apps that fit nicely with Canvas. That feedback that you get in Canvas, I love the confetti for one. Audio and visual, discussions, student choice, et cetera, et cetera. I do want to give credit to Dr. Casey Testerman, who's a principal learning consultant on my team as well. These are her images, and she was kind enough to let me use those today. So first of all, organization. What do the students need? They need to be kept on track. So in the classroom, you're going to have to-do lists and calendars. You're going to have different sections of curriculum that you're going over. In Canvas, we've got modules that break up those sections, home pages and resource pages, and a place to turn work in, and a place to grade and submit feedback. It's also going to help the teachers stay on track in the classroom by tracking lessons from year to year and tweaking your lessons in a copied course each year. So if you started in Canvas last year, everything that you used, you're able to use again this year, just make a few changes. You'll notice that the first year you use Canvas, you might think that it's difficult. The second year it gets a little easier, and it gets easier after that because you're just making changes to what you've built so far. So how about organization? What can we do? So here's some examples. Here's our calendar. And I love that the calendar has a place so that each course the student is taking over here on the right is listed. They simply click inside of the box next to it. When you click in that box, the color of the course will show up, and then it will display on the calendar. For the teachers, it's the same thing, but what I love is they can take one of the activities or events or due dates that they've added to their calendar, and maybe they needed to make a change for that day. They can simply click on that activity and drag it to the new day, and it changes it in all of the places in Canvas that it needs to change it. So if it was an assignment, it's also going to change that assignment due date in the assignment itself. I love that feature. It's one of my favorites. Up here on the right, we have our to-do list that naturally populates on the student's dashboard. Over on the left, we have an example of a reading lesson. And right on top of that, to the right, is the button for immersive reader if you have students that need to use that one. More examples. So on the left, we have an example of maybe a syllabus that a teacher put together. This is for a high school English class, and you can see how they typed it out, paper copy to give to their students. And then on the right is what that might look like in Canvas in modules. So it's basically the idea that what you do face-to-face can be the same thing that you do inside of Canvas. Imagine if you are that student that is absent a lot for whatever reason. You've got Canvas with you, it's in your backpack. You always know what was covered that day, what is due. The question of where can I find that information? The answer is always, it's in Canvas. So over here on the right are the modules, and you can see the paper introduction is there, the choose topics, the focus, all of the things from the left are duplicated on the right in a nice organized manner. Another thing that is great is that students can be given choice. So when you are creating your assignments, you get to decide how you want those assignments to be turned in. So for example, you can say that it's an online submission, it's an on-paper submission, it's an external tool, which is one of those integrated apps that work so well inside of Canvas. Or you can choose more than one of those and let your students choose for themselves how they want to turn in their assignments or do their assignments. Choice and voice. All right, here is an example of another English assignment. Sorry, the English teacher comes out at me from time to time. I taught English. I also taught elementary. So both of those things will show up as I speak, you'll see. So this is an example of, a paper handout that was given, and I can print this out and I can give it to my students, but is that the best way to do it now? So I can save paper. I don't have to stand at the copy machine, put the whole thing in Canvas. And once it's in there forever. It's in there for next year. It's in there for the year after that. Students can look at it. They can see when it's due and how many points they're going to get for it. They're going to have the directions right there. Maybe it's that art student who had a competition that day. And instead of having to wait until the next day to get to class and interrupt and ask, well, what did I miss? What's the answer? It's in Canvas. So go ahead and put these things inside there. And that answers the question for your students, even when they're face-to-face. So like Pavlov's dogs, your students are asking the question, where is it? How do I find it? What do I do? When is it due? And the answer is, it's in Canvas.
Kelly, can I say something?
Absolutely, Melanie.
So Kelly is given all this great information. And one of the things that we have come across is directions. So she has very clear directions here. A lot of times teachers are not very explicit with their directions. So that's something to keep in mind when you are creating your assignments. Give very explicit directions as if you were standing directly in front of them, looking them in the eye and telling them, even if you're going to tell them 10 times, be very explicit with your directions.
That's great advice, Melanie. And it's a time saver, believe it or not. You're probably thinking, oh, but that takes so much more time when I add my document into Canvas. It takes a couple of minutes to put those explicit directions, but it's going to save you 5 or 6 questions during the day from students that missed, or students that need to review, or mom and dad at home who just don't quite understand. So it's really a time saver in the long run for sure. Okay, so this is an example of that paper copy. And on the next slide, a version of what that might look like in more of a blended classroom when you're face-to-face, but your students do have their digital classroom as well in their backpack. So now they can look at this document right there embedded inside of a Canvas page, and they can even, excuse me while I click here 1 second, they can even annotate over it because it's a PDF. They could take notes on it as you're teaching in the classroom or you're introducing it for the first time. They could take their own little personal notes and submit them if you wanted to see their notes. Okay, next, let's talk about creativity and engagement. So in the classroom, of course, you want to have as much engagement and creativity as possible, face-to-face and digitally. So one thing you want to do is allow for multimodal responses. And I love that it's easy in Canvas. I, again, taught for over 20 years, which sort of ages me. But when I did teach, I tried all of the different technology tools and all of the LMSs that were available. And it was really hard to get an audio recording or a video recording inside there. It would take lots of steps and lots of time. And Canvas has figured out how to make it just a click, which is nice, maybe a couple of clicks. So hey, Kelly, you want to take advantage of audio and video and text. Yes, Melanie.
Someone asked about Mark is Done. And for those of you who don't know what it is, I'm typing it in the chat. But Mark is Done is a feature within your modules that you can use to control if students are viewing the page. It's their way of letting you know, hey, I did read this page, I did review it, and it's in the requirements part of modules. It's a feature that allows you to control the flow of your class.
Thanks, Melanie. Yeah, that is on the previous slide right at the bottom. You can see that it says that they have to mark it as done. It's kind of a promise. I promise I did do this. I read it, I looked at it, but it's nice because you can add it to those module requirements. Thanks, Melanie. Okay, so you can use styles that the students like best. You can do the audio and video and text in the student app or the teacher app. And then the other thing is giving choices in your assignments is a nice capability inside of Canvas. So you can make a list in Canvas and let your students pick. So for example, using some of those LTI integrations, those apps, you could use a Genially choice board, HyperDocs, Nearpod, Flipgrid, Google Suite. There's so many, couldn't possibly list them all. All right, here's another example of what things might look like when you're using those audio and video and text options. So over on the left, the teachers put in an image with some instructions. Go to the classroom library, listen to the book, come back here, you're going to answer some questions. And then you're going to take a video or record your voice, retelling the story as if you were telling it to a friend. And then you're going to watch one other friend's video and respond to that in a discussion board. Notice that underneath, she's got the exact same text that was in the image. That is for accessibility. So when you have words in the images, they're not going to be picked up by those screen readers. So you always want to make sure that those words, those directions are listed in text form as well. And because this particular teacher, this happens to be Dr. Casey Testerman, she's also recorded herself, just quickly giving those same directions on video, of course, with the audio recorded. And then on the right side, the student can respond with an audio recording of themselves telling the story. They can add images, or they can record themselves reading the story or telling the story on video. So there's your student choice and your engagement. Okay. Here's another example. This one, the directions are read or listen to the directions for this assignment. You will use the provided slide deck, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So they're telling, and they're giving them the choice, the student choice. You can do this presentation live in class, or I'm going to give you the ability to do your presentation on video. You can record it, and then I can watch it as time allows. You get to choose as the student. I love that because some students, for many different reasons, are reluctant to do a presentation in front of class. And now you've given them a way to still meet the requirements comfortably. See, I'm starting to get tongue-tied. Melanie, you ready to jump in when I get tongue-tied? It always happens. Okay. And there's an example too of the teacher giving those same instructions, with a voice recording, a video recording. Okay. Okay, what about those integrations? Just look at some of the many, many, many apps that you can use with Canvas. So if there are other tech tools that you are already comfortable with that you like to use, that's the good news, is you can embed them into Canvas in a nice, easy way. And if Canvas is your backpack and everything that you need for your students is in Canvas, then these other tech tools that you use can be inside of Canvas. And again, it's all in one place. So that's all you're going to need. Next, we have an example of just one of those. So here, this teacher is basically saying, here's a FET lab simulation of John Travoltage. And she's basically saying the students can use this in Canvas when they're ready, and then they can add from what they've learned to the discussion board. This can be done in class or out of class. It could be done, it could be resubmitted if they decided that what they did in class needed to be updated a little bit. And again, she's got the text instructions, she's got audio instructions, and she's got video instructions, all for the student. Melanie, as a teacher, did you ever have to restate your instructions?
As soon as I gave the instructions, I had to
Yes.
restate the instructions.
Felt like a broken record, right? Over and over again. Yes.
Over
And then 3 minutes later, you get asked, okay, what do I have to do?
Yes.
Yeah. So she's taking a minute to be very specific about the directions and saving some of that time that's taken away from instruction. All right, let's talk about feedback in a blended classroom. So some of the feedback that you get inside of Canvas is when your submissions are on time, you get that fun confetti that shows up. And teachers do not have to carry stacks of papers and carry them back and forth. I used to have, everybody has one, that teacher bag full of papers to take home and grade. You kind of take it with you everywhere you go. And then you hope you get some of it done that night, and then you're hauling it back to school the next day. If those papers are already inside of Canvas, then you're not lugging that big bag around, which is nice. And things are so much more organized rather than just stacks. Feedback becomes a dialogue and not a monologue. In other words, you can give students feedback and they can respond to that feedback. So messaging students who is a game changer. I love message students who. If you're not familiar with it, I'm going to strongly suggest that you look into it, because it gives you a way to quickly, for example, let's just give one example of message students who. So you get in there and it says, well, who do you want to message? And you could say everyone who has gotten a 90% or higher. And then you could give all of those students, and it selects their names based on their score, some kudos, some good feedback. Or you could say everyone who hasn't turned it in yet, and you can send them a quick reminder. You don't have to go down your grade book making a list of all of those students that didn't get it turned in. It finds them for you and populates them. And they don't get to see each other's names in the message. They just get a message that says, hey, don't forget this was due. Please get it turned in as soon as possible. There are other functions in there as well that work really, really well. And then, of course, we have standards-based and mastery-based grading. We can use outcomes and rubrics inside of Canvas to provide lots of good, positive feedback.
Hi, Kelly. Just to backtrack real quick, can you show the teachers where the apps are? Because I got a question about all of the apps that are available, that screen, the integrations. So these are these are the ones that work with Canvas. And if they're not, if your school hasn't integrated them, you can go into, it's under settings. It's under settings, and I'm trying to get it in my head right now. Let me
Yep.
close. Settings under integrations, and you can see the list of apps that are compatible with Canvas. And if there's something that you use that's not, you guys can reach out to us. We can probably show you a workaround, maybe embedding inside of your content page or linking out to assignments, but we can assist you with that.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of that, Melanie, I'm going to take a second and give everybody who came in maybe a little bit after we started, I'm going to go all the way back to the beginning here and show them a couple of things. And then I promise we'll get back to where we left off. So one is this email address. It's nevadacanvas@instructure.com. It's nv-canvas@instructure.com. That's an email that Melanie and I both receive. So if you are needing assistance, you can use that. If you are wondering where you can find training on a specific topic, you could email us. If you really want us to come to your school, well, digitally on Zoom, come to your school and work with your team on how to use a rubric, for example, or something else that you wish you knew, we can do that. We have no problem doing that. So if you need 30 minutes where we just show you something that you just don't quite understand, give us, please reach out. There's the email. So nv-canvas@instructure.com.
And I'll put it in the
And
chat as well.
thank you. And then the other thing was, if you didn't get a chance to get the link for this presentation, so it's a bit.ly and it's Canvas is your backpack. Okay, let me get back to slide 22 where we left off. 23 actually, there we go. And so we're talking about feedback in the blended classroom. And of course, this feedback occurs inside of Canvas. It can also occur, in your face-to-face classroom, and should, but it can be in both places, which is nice. And your students are going to get this feedback that's inside of Canvas, and they're going to be able to, have it on their phone or their app. And look, mom, look at this great feedback I got on this project. Aren't you proud of me? So they can share it in a nice, easy way, which is great. Okay, so what does feedback look like? Well, this is, the grade book, and that's one way. This one, I think, is we're looking at if we're going to use the mastery-based grading concept. So over here, we've got, it's color-coded. So you've got can teach others, can perform without supervision, can perform with supervision, etc. All right, here's some of that feedback that I was just talking about. So our instructor has said, you missed, but nice effort. The student says, well, can I try again, please? Absolutely, sure, try it again. Let me know when you submit. And then she gives video feedback when it's all done, saying, fantastic, I'm glad you took that opportunity and redid your work. You really got it this time. It's so much more powerful when you take a second to record yourself, and it's quick and easy. So I would strongly suggest it. Just talking about that authentic engagement piece, just put yourself on the screen, even in a little tiny, hey, great job. It means a lot to your students. Okay. And then we are looking at, they can submit, they can resubmit, and they can resubmit after that, depending on what you've got set up for them. So this is just an example. When you do allow your students more than one opportunity to turn something in, especially something that maybe is a long-term project, or that's you're working on over the course of days or even weeks, you can see each time they submit exactly when they submitted it, what their grade was, if it was late or not. You can click on each one of those dates and times and see their work at that moment. So you could click through and kind of see the iterations that come from revising, which we all know is a powerful educational tool, revising one's own work. All right. Talk about digital equity. So digital equity in the blended classroom can look like a lot of things, but here are some ideas. So assign work to be completed outside of class. If you want your students to watch a video, maybe as a preview for a new topic that you're about to introduce, or as a review of materials before a test, there's a lot of reasons you could have a video. Maybe they're going to do some diagnostics. They're going to continue a conversation that you had in class, but you ran out of time. It does a lot of nice things for your students, in that, thinking about our students at the very beginning, maybe you've got a special needs student who processes things in a different style or speed than some of the other students. So having that video or that work that needs to be completed outside of class brings that equity for that student, because now they've been in class face-to-face, but they can also review it or watch it for the first time before a class happens, and they're going to benefit from that highly, allowing them for the time they need to process or the way that they need to process. You can use text, audio, and visual options to increase participations for those exceptional students, for example. Preview and review, like I was mentioning. So research proves that that works. We all know it does, right? Preview your topics, review. Using Khan Academy is a good example of an integration. Lots of apps, giving them offline access, all ways that you can use what you do in the classroom with outside of the classroom. And because it's Canvas and it's in their backpack, they can do it anytime, anywhere, when they have time. Okay. So now you know, an LMS, a learning management system like Canvas, provides the needed digital foundation for learning, whether students are face-to-face, blended, or remote. An LMS also streamlines student-teacher communication and provides a platform to create a digital classroom, integrating everything a teacher would need to share content, create assignments, track student progress, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, it can help parents stay informed. And here we go with our images again to say that Canvas is your backpack. All right, if you need a resource or training or just help in general, here are some places that you can go. The first one is when you're inside of Canvas, on the far left, there is a help button. It looks like a question mark. And there's something called the Training Services Portal. And I cannot emphasize this enough. This is the absolute best resource that I can offer you. And I mean that in all sincerity. There are courses and videos in there that take a segment of what you want to learn in Canvas and make it, maybe it's 8 minutes long, or maybe it's 12 minutes long. And it's exactly what you want because there are so many of them. They're up to date and they talk through the concepts in a nice way that's easy to understand. It is underutilized, and I promise you it is worth your time. So check that out when you get a minute. It's the Training Services Portal under the help button. Also, if you want to look at the Canvas guides, so there is a guide for everything. If you want to learn how to create an assignment, you click help, and then at the top, there is the search the Canvas guides button right underneath the panda, and that will take you to the Canvas community. And there is the guides themselves are the best part of the community. So there's a guide for everything you ever wanted to do, and they will walk you through step by step with directions and images. Also, there's the Nevada Canvas Guidebook course where we try to put lots of resources specific to Nevada, including things like recordings of sessions that we've done in case you missed them. So you can go there for that. And again, that Canvas community. All right, I believe there is a survey that for the conference itself, but we also like feedback. So this is a link to a quick feedback for this session for me personally, and it's under bit.ly, Instructure Consulting, INSTCONSULTING. If you would just pick virtual workshop and my name, Kelly Lozicki. Melanie, I think is going to put it in the chat for us. Melanie, what have you got going on in the chat? Questions?
I've been kind of answering them as they came through.
Fantastic.
Yeah, answer them.
Okay.
But you
I
do
will
have
go
10
back.
minutes for Q&A.
Okay. 10 minutes for Q&A sounds good. I'm going to stop sharing for a second just so that I can kind of read through the chat myself.
And if anyone has questions, you can unmute and you can ask us.
Ooh, good conversations going on in the chat. Okay. I love to see that.
Open sky. Someone said on the survey, the survey canvas is your backpack is not on the identify the session.
Oh, for the conference, this session was added in. Someone, I believe, had to cancel. So I said that I would jump in. That is something we'll have to address and maybe get fixed for you. So if you want to come back to that a little bit later and do that
Do they have
survey.
the option? I haven't done the survey before.
Let me see. Let me take a look too and see.
And I just wanted to take a minute and
Mhm.
thank Kelly and Melanie for your presentation. And the session's certainly not over, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in a session survey link from the NVDLC. If you guys don't mind taking that twice, one for the opening session and one for this session, session 3. And then we also have an attendance tracker that will be in the chat. So make sure that you complete those so we can make sure you get your professional learning credits. And I just wanted to share that real quick since we were on a short little break with Melanie and Kelly. So now it's back to you guys.
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen and show you that. I think because this session was put in place of another one that had been scheduled, it's not specifically listed. So I don't know if you have access to the form. But the question they're having is which one to choose because it's not listed there.
Cindy said she'll fix it. So
Cindy's going to fix it for us. Awesome.
assume
Thank you,
where
Cindy.
where that E is, that's you, Kelly.
I'm probably the E question mark.
Yeah.
Yes, but Cindy's going to fix it for us. So just give her a
refresh your
minute.
screen, it should be fixed.
Let's see. So breakout 1. And then there it is. Canvas in a backpack. There you go. Thank you for fixing that. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments before we sign off? We do have a few other sessions today if you get a chance. If you don't know about using Studio yet, that is one I definitely recommend talking about getting those interactive videos inside of your Canvas courses. All right. Thank you, everybody. We'll give you a couple minutes back in your day, and hopefully we'll see you in an upcoming session.
Thank you, everybody. And
Thanks, everyone.
And just so you know that the next session will start at 10:30, and in this room number 3, we will have best practices for course design with Melanie and Kelly again. So thanks,
Take care.
everyone.